Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. After the spread of desert locust, citizens of the Governorate of Al-Dhahira appealed to intensify anti-locust campaigns. The Ministry of Civil Service completes the procedures of written exams and personal interviews for job seekers in the Governorate of North Sharqiya. And more than 130,000 tourists visit the Niaba of Jabal al-Akhdar during the last touristic season. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in details. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sent a cabal of greetings to His Majesty King Abdullah II Ibn Al Hussein of Jordan on the 60th anniversary of his country's independence. His Majesty the Sultan also sent a cabal of greetings to Her Excellency President Cristina Fernandez of Argentina on her country's National Day. The spread for desert locust swarms in some farms in the Wilaya of Ibri is still a source of concern to citizens there after these swarms caused severe damages on their crops. As the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth continues its efforts to combat locust swarms in all wilayas of the Governorate of Al-Dhahira, farmers urge competent bodies to speed up their work to deal with this seasonal problem and look for the means to eradicate it. Specialists from the Directorate General of Agriculture and Livestock Wealth in the Governorate of Al-Dhahira stressed that the work is continuing to combat this problem and that around 18 work teams are working day and night to stop the march of locust swarms and find possible solutions to combat them in the Governorate. They added that the situation is improving and the locust swarms are decreasing. In order to upgrade the capabilities of medical cadres and benefit from international expertise, a workshop was organized in the Governorate of Dhofar on laparoscopic surgery. It was attended by a number of health workers at Sultan Qaboos Hospital. The participants were acquainted with latest development in the field. The workshop came as part of continuous medical education. It included theoretical and practical training. In order to facilitate employment procedures for job seekers, the Ministry of Civil Service continued written examinations for more than 120 governmental jobs on its 8th station at the College of Technology in the Wilaya of Ibra in the Governorate of North Sharqiya. Officials at the Ministry of Civil Service stressed that the electronic system of written examinations considered as a transparent system where those who applied for a job were able to know their results. The visitors of Niaba of Jabal al-Akhdar increased during the last year to more than 133,000 visitors, with an increase by 12% compared with previous year, where citizens formed 43% from total visitors, with an increase of 5.2% compared with 2012. Foreign visitors formed 42% of the total visitors, with an increase of more than 27% compared with 2012. The number of visitors from GCC countries reached more than 14,000, with an increase of nearly 11%. Expectations indicated that the number of tourists will increase this year as a result of expansions at various touristic services and increase of hotel investments to 5 hotels. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and still to come in our news bulletin. The total passenger traffic through Muscat International Airport has witnessed an increase of 8% until April 2014 compared to the same period of 2013. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. In southern Hungary, the city of Pécs is successfully providing heating for half of its 150,000 inhabitants using old-fashioned methods of burning wood and hay. More details in the following report.
This hay bale just might hold the key to energy in Central Europe. Hungary's southern town of Pécs has gone back in time, burning hay and wood for electricity and heat. The Dacia Energia plant generates 85 megawatts of energy, enough to heat the homes of nearly half of the town's 150,000 inhabitants.
The incinerator uses a vibration grid system which scatters the hay that arrives here to be burned in a homogeneous way. The heat warms up the water reservoir above, which produces vapour and which in turn powers the turbines that produce electricity through the generator. The vapour, which is the real green energy, is used to heat the town of Pécs.
Stocks of wood and hay are set aside according to EU sustainable development norms, and the plant doesn't use any fossil fuels, a first for a city of this size.
In general, plants that use biomass also use coal or gas. Our plant is unique in that it's the largest European combined heat and power plant that only uses biomass, meaning wood and hay.
Thanks to these materials, bills for heating have already dropped by 12% in 2011, and the new plants reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 150 tonnes of carbon dioxide every year. It's a win too for the area's 100 farmers. Every year they harvest the 200,000 tonnes of hay needed to keep the plants going. The €13 million returns are then injected back into the local economy.
Thanks to our contract with the plant, our returns have been multiplied tenfold. Of course, we had to invest significant amounts on our side. We had inadequate machinery, so we had to buy a bigger truck, a stronger tractor, and machines to make the bales of hay.
The plant itself came about thanks to a hefty investment of €80 million, which has been possible thanks to EU green electricity funds, which guarantee sales above the market price. A reduction in greenhouse gases and a boost to local incomes, this Hungarian town could mark a turning point in Europe's energy consumption.
A certificates of deposit tender was held at the Central Bank of Oman, CBO, this week. The total amount allotted for issue number 868 was 350 million Omani rials. A bulletin issued by the CBO stated that the average interest rate of these certificates was 0.12%, whilst the maximum accepted interest rate was 0.13%. The tenor of these certificates is 28 days, so their maturity date is on June 18th. The certificates of deposit issued to licensed banks by the CBO as a monetary policy instrument aimed at absorbing excess liquidity at the banking sector in particular and maintaining stability of the interest rate and the money market in general. The repo rate during May 21st till 27th is 1%. The total passenger traffic, including transit and transfer passengers through Muscat International Airport, has increased by 8% to 2,958 passengers until April 2014, compared to 2,737 passengers for the same period of 2013. Statistics released by the Public Authority for Civil Aviation show an increase in the arrival of passengers by 7% to around 1,488 passengers until April this year, comparing to 1,392 passengers for the same period of the year 2013. The number of departing passengers has also increased by 10% to 1,456 passengers until April this year, comparing to 1,321 passengers for the same period of the year 2013. In terms of air cargo traffic at Muscat International Airport, aviation statistics indicated a decrease in the total unloaded and loaded freight by 1%, with total shipment 39.993 tons compared to 40.329 tons in the same period in 2013. Now for the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloud skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of scattered rain over parts of the Hajar Mountains. Winds will be northeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be rough along the southeastern coast with a maximum wave height of 2.5 meters, while it will be slight to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate's coast with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television, and now before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. After the spread of desert locusts, citizens of the Governorate of Al-Dhahir appeal to intensify anti-locusts campaigns. The Minister of Civil Service completes the procedures of written exams and personal interviews for job seekers in the Governorate of North Sharqiya. And more than 130,000 tourists visit the Niyaba of Jabal al-Akhdar during the last touristic season. With that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.